Toss a coin to your witcher, O valley of plenty, O valley of plenty, oh.
Toss a coin to your witcher, a friend of
humanity.
Yes.
God, I wonder how bad that sounds. So, how's your new VR headset that you just got?
Amazing.
Oh, okay, so it's good?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
this is
perfect.
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's I got the Oculus Rift S. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For a Christmas present, and it's great. It's a little annoying, I guess, that it has to always run through the Oculus software, despite the fact that I primarily use Steam as my VR platform. But it works fine. It doesn't ever.
Okay, so you always have to have Oculus on, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, and I can't ever use my home button because I'm using Steam VR, but Steam VR doesn't like the Oculus home button always opens Oculus, not Steam. But
okay, and so you can't so you can't disable that. That's really annoying.
I mean, I think there is potentially a way in Steam VR to remap my Oculus button to something else.
Yeah,
but it hasn't been, like I said, it hasn't been that much of an issue.
Fair enough.
So I've just been playing a lot of Fallout 4.
Ooh, how is that? Because I haven't tried that yet.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is like a totally different. Like I'm not a huge Fallout 4 fan. You know, like you know, I'm an old school Bethesda fan. So I'm a Morrowind kind of guy and a Fallout 1 and 2 and New Vegas man. And so Fallout 4 was disappointing for me.
Yeah.
But playing it in VR is just like it's just amazing. Like I don't know how to like you know.
I do know. I really have to try that out because I haven't gotten around to that one. And how does it? Because like I mean, obviously, like you know, there is like how does it control? Like, is it's pretty good, all things considered?
Okay, so I bought Skyrim and Fallout 4.
Okay,
and the first one I played was Skyrim.
Yes,
and that I stopped playing after about 3 hours because it's really ugly. Mm-hmm. Like it's like vanilla Skyrim, you know, which is already pretty ugly, and then it's through the lens of a VR system, and so it's like there's no anti-aliasing. The view distance is like even more potato than regular Skyrim is. Like it's really bad. Yeah. But it was still like it's really cool to like see Alduin like fly down at you during the intro sequence. Like
oh yeah.
But the controls were weird.
Okay. And
so I switched to Fallout 4 because I figured gunplay is a little more natural than swordplay is for VR, or at least I feel so. Right?
Yep. Okay.
Like pointing your hands and pulling a trigger is pretty identical to using a controller, whereas like swinging swords and stuff is like a little more like, you know, it's not blade and sorcery. Let me say that. You know, there's a sense of weightlessness to Skyrim combat.
Okay, fair enough. I could see that.
Yeah, but as far as the controls go, I've gotten kind of off topic here, but as far as the controls go, like it's like learning a totally new control scheme essentially. Like it's like if you picked up a controller for the first time in your life and you're like, oh, what are these sticks? And what are these face buttons? And there's arrows also along with the analogs. Which do I use to move? Like, it's kind of like that where, like, you know, I've played it for about 12 hours, I think, now, Fallout 4. Because I can only play it for 2 or 3 hours at a time.
I was about to ask, how is the motion sickness for you?
No motion sickness. I stand up while I play.
Yes.
And so eventually my feet and back start hurting.
Yeah.
So
okay,
it's actually problems. It's a physical like endurance problem actually, more so than anything else.
Oh God, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So I was playing H3 VR, hot dogs, orange juice, and hand grenades.
Yeah.
And like it was a while back, but this is the first time this had happened to me. Is he had added a mode at one point, and I think it's still in the game, but like because like he added the guns from Equilibrium, right?
Oh wait, really? I never saw those. I mean, I got that and I played that recently, but I didn't see. Anyway,
yeah, it's actually yeah. If you go into the game, it's under the automatic pistols. It's the I think it's like what is like the M something cleric is what it is. Which, by the way, hilarious is the like the muzzle flash on it is the muzzle flash from the movie where it's like the crosses.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, of course. I mean, good, yes.
It's incredible. But anyway, so he added like a gun kata mode, where you have to there basically there's I think there's 6 targets like in a semicircle around you, and you have to
wow.
okay, right? So I was playing that, and of course when you're playing that, you're matrixing out, you're leaning down and crouching on the ground, and so I did that for about 30 minutes, having the time of my life, and then I stopped, and then I tried to stand up, and I was like, oh god, I've broken my legs, I've destroyed my whole body.
Yeah. I had some pretty horribly bruised legs after my first VR session in Super Hot, so I can relate.
Yeah, it's just I'm like, oh god, everything is. Oh yeah, it was Super Hot. Actually, that happened to me also in Super Hot. It just completely ruined me because I was like, oh, I'm not used to crouching and stuff like this. This is not something my body is built for.
It turns out we're not action movie heroes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking to me. I doesn't see.
But you feel like it when you're playing VR.
Oh, you do, absolutely.
So yeah, just to finish the thought about Fallout 4, the controls are actually really good.
They are really good.
When you get used to them, you can pull out your Pip-Boy. There's no pausing when you pull out your Pip-Boy in that game.
Oh, and I think I did. Yeah, because I watched I think it was Up Is Not Jump's video on that.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I remember that from that. Okay, so the Pip-Boy. So basically, you have to be engaged the whole time.
You get very good at using your quick menu to heal.
Ah, okay.
It's just you have a quick menu, and it is a requirement to play the game, essentially.
Yeah, because obviously, the standard game, it's oh, whatever, I'll just pause, eat 37 hot dogs, and everything's good to go.
I guess I'll give an example, though, of just what it's like to play Fallout 4 VR. Anyone who's played Fallout 4 knows about the barge with the power armor guy on it when you first go to the big city. And try to visit the main place. Oh my god, Diamond City. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bridge and there's a barge with a bunch of bandits, and one of the bandits is in power armor, and I think I've run into that every time I play the game. You run into that, and
yes.
I've never once before sat on the opposite shore and just sat by a destroyed tree and just sniped them, actually using iron sights and leaning down under the tree to avoid fire. It feels like you're playing Arma or Tarkov or any of those super realistic shooter games.
Yeah.
But in Fallout 4.
I could see that. That's incredible.
So it is incredible. Yeah. Highly recommend it.
So I mean, when we first started this podcast, obviously you hadn't tried VR, and you've now tried it. So what was it like the first time that you tried it out? Was it did I oversell it?
No, I honestly, I was always worried, because I always worried the nausea would be every time people talk about VR, they talk about the nausea.
Yeah,
and I have yet to experience literally any nausea.
Oh, you lucky duck.
Playing VR. I don't understand, if you've never tried VR, don't be scared to. Give it a shot. Maybe you'll be like me, and it's just perfect. And it has no downsides, essentially.
So, over the Christmas break, so our cousin Alex, so he came over. And with his wife and their daughter. But while we were over, I had him try VR, because he had tried, I think, PSVR very briefly a while ago, but never really something
fully realized.
Standing, the kind of full room scale type of situation.
Yeah.
And so I had him play H3 VR. And it was hilarious, because it's he the first thing I did is so I put the headset on him, and I gave him I think it was like a revolver or something, right?
Yeah.
And he just stood there and just stared at it and turned it around in his hands for a good long while. Oh my god, this thing, I'm just when it and looking around.
Yeah. Well, everyone has experienced looking at an optical illusion before. You know, when you see the grid of white and black lines, and there's little gray circles in the middle of those intersections.
Yeah.
We've all seen those, and we all can recognize that that's not actually what we're seeing, but our brain thinks it's real.
Yeah.
And VR it's like your entire vision becomes the gray circle.
That's a good way to describe it.
It's just you know that what you're looking at isn't real logically, but your brain is fully in it.
Yeah.
And so it really is real to you, like in a
It
weird
is.
way.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you just, like, I mean, I think like the first time I played it was so strange because it's like, yeah, this is like just a physical thing manifesting in front of me.
Yes.
It's like, you very quickly are just like, oh shit, this is just like, this is the thing that's happening, which also means that like I could never, ever, 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 ever play a game that has any kind of horror elements to it.
Oh yeah, God.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, I'm
like
dreading.
I watched the. Yeah,
I'm dreading going
video.
to the Salem witchcraft area in Fallout 4. That's for sure.
Oh God! Like, cause like I watched the videos of what is it, of like Resident Evil 7.
Oh God!
And I was just like, I couldn't handle that because it's like, like that game is from a first person perspective, and it's like, these are just, it's just things that are now happening to you, like
yeah, no.
someone is murdering you in real life.
I mean, I can't stand horror games when I have a controller in my hand and a screen in front of me. So no, thank you.
But what it does add for me, which is interesting, is like in just regular shooting games, almost adds that horror element to it, because it's like if something comes up behind you, like it's not a big deal for me like in a game where I'm holding a controller and I can turn around and shoot the thing, but like there's a very real and genuine sense of panic that happens where like I turn around and I'm trying to like reload a gun and there's like a guy like right behind me. I'm like, oh shit, I dropped the clip, I might drop the gun, and I'm just like, oh God, this is like it's like an actual literal. I'm like, okay, cool. So I could never like, be in that kind of a situation in real life because I would just die. As you said, we're not action heroes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not one.
So not to bring it back to Fallout 4 too much, but just like, fighting rad roaches or the Death Claw in Fallout 4.
Oh,
just
fuck,
like
the
not
Deathclaws.
fun experiences. Just like
very genuinely nerve-wracking.
Yeah, just like, oh God, there's a 5-foot long cockroach launching itself at my face, and I can't get my gun to aim properly, and I've like wasted 10 bullets, and now I'm having to reload. Yeah, panic-inducing is putting it mildly.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, have you played Minecraft in VR yet?
I did not realize, is the Java version Minecraft enabled or VR enabled?
You have to get, I can't remember what it's called. It's called like
it's the Windows version, right?
Maybe it is the Windows version. No, I thought it was. I can't remember exactly, but there's like I think it's called Vivecraft. That's what it's called, Vivecraft. And I think that should work with. I think that should work with anything, but I'm not 100% on that.
Vivecraft.
But
VR Minecraft for Steam VR. Okay, yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that, especially if you have any old saves.
No, I don't. I've only been playing on multiplayer servers whenever I play. And those don't exist anymore.
Okay. I have some old saves from Minecraft of like the stuff that I had built like way back in the day. Going back through those in VR, it's like, oh cool, I get to visit my actual places.
I mean, that does sound amazing, yeah.
Dude, it's okay, first of all, although that being said, lucky for you that you don't get motion sick, because for me, like, oh my God. So like when I first got VR, that was one of the first things that I tried.
Oh, really?
Because I was like, well, yeah, because I was like, oh, like, I mean, after I got like done like with like things like the lab and stuff and like the teleporting and like, I don't know if you've played the lab at all, but like, when VR first came out, like that was one of the big things. It was like play the lab, get your get like an idea of what VR is like, which now, like, I mean, it seems really outdated now, but like at the time, I mean, and it's still pretty good, but like at the time it was just incredible. But, like, so the, going from teleporting to like actual, smooth locomotion, I went and played, Minecraft, and holy shit, man, like it was, it was a whole thing. I played it for like, I think like 10, 15 minutes, and I was sick the rest of the day. Just the rest. Like I fell off the first thing from a great height, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to just throw up forever now.
Because I play Fallout 4 in smooth locomotion.
Yes.
So, like, because whenever I started seeing VR start, and then whenever I saw the teleport method, in my mind, I kind of thought to myself, if you have to use teleporting to play VR, just don't play it. Like, you've ruined the experience for yourself.
I've done some games where you use teleport locomotion, and it's not horrible. Like, it's not what I would prefer. Obviously,
it's not
I use
fully immersive.
It's not fully immersive. Like, I use smooth locomotion now, but like, there are some games that I still have trouble with, like Boneworks that recently came out. Like, that one, for whatever reason, just because of the, like, how, like, physically interactive your body is, like, getting like walking up to something and then getting like nudged back without without you physically doing that is very it's very barfy.
Fallout 4 does that as well.
Oh, okay. Where
like if you try to like put yourself into an object, it'll push you back.
I could see that getting barfy.
It's unsettling. I never found it barfy, thankfully. See, I'm really glad that you're telling me that there are things that are barfy, because it makes me more confident in the fact that I might be one of the lucky immune people.
Yeah, because you never really got carsick.
Yeah, I never got carsick. Yeah, I guess my brain is just like cool with it, regardless. Yeah, it's like moving, not moving, whatever.
Well, yeah, because you could like read in the car, and like that was never something that I was capable of.
Like avidly read.
Yes, I could avidly throw up if I tried to read. Very good at that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'm glad you liked it, man. Like, it's like I talk about this to people, and like sometimes I wonder if I'm like overselling this.
No. Not only did I like it, but my friends group has also decided that it is amazing.
So like my wife's friend, like, he's super into video games, like, which is hilarious because his wife is not, and and so like, he's got like these walls of video games. She's like, oh god, fucking whatever. But so like he got PSVR, and like at the time I was like, well, VR seems really cool and I kind of want to try it out, but I'm like, I can't justify shelling out like the whatever it was, like $600 or $800
no, it was ridiculous.
for a Vive. Like I was like, there's no fucking way. I'm not doing this. So we went over to like his place, and we tried out PSVR, and like both like my wife and I, we tried it out, and at the end of that brief session, like as we were driving home, I was like, so we're spending like $600 on VR, right? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's like that's just settled now. That's just over. We're just definitely spending that money. And like we went back, and I immediately bought a Vive.
Is the Vive wireless?
It is not. Is yours wireless?
So question then. Have you ever looked into getting one of those pulley systems?
I've looked into getting the wireless setup, because there is a wireless setup that you like, an attachment that you can get, and I've thought about it. I haven't obviously pulled the trigger on that, because here's the thing: I was going to, but then the Index came out, and I'm like, okay, I think I'm just going to wait until the Index comes up with a wireless solution, because I'm probably going to get the Index headset at some point. It's just like, because everything that everybody said about the Index,
it's better.
That it's incredible.
And
that it's the best one.
And it's native with Steam VR, which is clearly the best VR.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the Vive is too. Like, the Vive is Steam VR enabled through and through, which is great.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, the Oculus, unfortunately, is Facebook, obviously.
Oh, yeah. So I kind of, like, after I bought it, I was like, oh, God, should I have just tried to get you a Vive? But, like, I knew that you wanted the, like, the inside-out tracking.
No. And thank you for getting me inside-out tracking, because I could literally not play with my VR headset in my room otherwise.
Yeah,
I can't use the Guardian system. Like, the room system where you set up your room.
Because it's not big enough.
Like, I have like 5 feet by 7 feet, and that's not big enough for a Guardian. Like, it's big enough to use VR, but not big enough to not avoid running into
So how has the standing been? Because I know you were concerned about that initially.
I mean, it does limit me. Just like standing for 3 hours does hurt physically eventually.
But like not being able to like move in any direction hasn't been a problem for you.
Well, yeah, because I'm very lucky, I guess, in that I have a brain that does not care about motion sickness. So I can just use free locomotion, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, well, because the one thing for me, like, because I use the free locomotion, and I don't use room scale to move, but what is nice is being able to take, like, I guess, a step in every direction, which I don't know if you do.
No, I can do that.
Oh, you can do that. Okay, well, then you're fine, because, like, I mean, I have a pretty big cleared
that's all you
space.
need. Exactly, yeah.
And I do walk around in it a little bit just by accident sometimes, especially when I'm playing something like Blade and Sorcery. When I'm playing Blade and Sorcery or, like, Gorn, I'm like, I end up, like, I have it because I have the the advanced VR enabled. Which is awesome, and like it puts a little square like below where the center of your room should be, and I have that enabled all times because like I'd be playing something and I like occasionally glance over. I'm like, oh, I'm not standing on the square. I'm like, who knows how far away I am from my initial point.
I play a little game with myself whenever I play VR, which is when I'm done with a session. I play what direction am I actually facing? Because I always try to be facing forward toward my computer screen, because that gives me the most space. But every time I pull it off, I think that I'm facing my computer screen, and I'm facing a totally different direction by the end. Just like I take it off, I'm looking at my bed, I'm looking at my dressers, I'm looking at my door. It's never my computer screen.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I took off my VR headset. I'm like, oh, I'm not in the place that I thought I was going to be.
Yeah. And but it's not even that you're not in the place you thought you would be. It's that you think you are.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not like, oh, well, I'm probably somewhere else. You're like, no, I did it this time. I'm good. I made sure I was in the right spot. I'm fine. Oh shit, what the fuck?
It makes me worried if I get the wireless, I'm going to end up in my fucking kitchen or something. It's like, God, I'm across the street. What's happening?
Well, now that Chandler has this VR, we do need to discuss totally renovating the bottom of the house. Into a VR space. That's going to be intense.
I mean, that's literally that was one of my big things with when we got the house. I was like, all right, whatever room I put my computer in, I need a lot of space behind me because I need the VR space cleared out.
Yes.
Oh God, excellent. Oh man. All right. So moving on, I suppose to
the main topic.
The main topic, now that we've done part 3 of VR, so The Witcher.
We have both seen The Witcher at this point now.
Yes. So I think I saw it a few weeks ago. I think you saw it when it came out. I don't know if you rewatched it at all.
I did. I rewatched the first couple episodes, and then I kind of skimmed through the last half.
Okay. I brought up the wiki so that I would be able to refresh myself if I need to remember anything. But oh man, so I guess I can say I've been excited as hell about this since it was announced however long ago. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So it's finally here.
You've been a big you were a fan of the Witcher video game.
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask you. So because you've read the books?
No.
You have not read the books.
Now I'm tempted to read them, but no, I've not read the books.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you had actually read the books.
And I had thought that you had read the books.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So we both. Yeah.
So neither of us have read the books. Now, have you played all the games?
Yes, I've played all the games. I have not beaten The Witcher 3, but I've beaten the other 2.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So we're basically coming from kind of roughly the same place then when it comes to this series.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess how much did you know about the actual story going in?
Almost nothing, as it turns out.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I probably thought I knew more than I did. I guess let me put it this way. So, you've played the game, so obviously you'd know this because it's when the first episode when they're like, "Oh, welcome to Blaviken."
Yeah, no idea.
Really? Oh, okay. Because I at least knew. Because I guess I think in the games they at least occasionally.
No, they do definitely. Yeah.
They refer to him as the Butcher of Blaviken.
Oh yeah.
So I had read the wiki, so I was aware of kind of what had gone down in Blaviken. Although I guess not to a full extent, because for whatever reason I didn't remember. I guess I didn't remember the fine details. I just remembered that he killed some people and he kind of got framed in sort of a way, which I think is probably accurate to say.
I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm a huge wiki crawler, but The Witcher is just one of those series I don't know why I never did. I just never really felt like I needed to wiki crawl them.
Well, I guess are you also the kind of person that reads all the flavor text for all of the books and crap that you pick up?
No, I'm not actually. I'm really not. Okay. I pretty much mindlessly go through video games, honestly.
That was kind of what I thought. See, I'm the obsessive I start playing a game and then there's a book in the game and then 3 hours later I've just been spent reading books in a game instead of playing the game.
Which is so weird because I would you play more a variety of games. I'm a hardcore strategy RPG guy.
Yeah.
But I'm also a very surface level game player.
Well, yeah, because you play games. I mean, a lot of the games that I like to play because of the story elements. I mean, obviously I like playing games. I play, a lot.
Okay, yeah. I guess that is the big difference. I play for gameplay.
Yeah.
And you play for
I'm
story.
one of those. Yeah. There are definitely games where I'm like, okay, I'm playing this for gameplay, but yes, I do. If a game has a good story, I'm in. I
feel like we should have just made a gaming podcast, Jason.
I mean, well, this is,
No, I know. It's just
this is partially a gaming podcast. You could pick up to three topics. So and I've already added video gaming to this since we've every single episode talked about VR.
It's more of a gaming podcast in some ways than a movie. It's like a main gaming podcast with when we talk about multimedia entertainment.
We pick a movie to review so we have an excuse to talk, and then we talk about VR the entire time.
Exactly. That's what should be our description on Apple iTunes.
Yes, I know, right? I might have to change it from we review movies to we really just want to talk about video games, but we use movie
We
reviews
pretend
as
to
an
review movies to talk about video games.
So accurate. Oh Jesus. Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like what were your overall impressions of the series? Like, how do you think that like it handled the source material and stuff, like to the best of your knowledge of how the source material is?
Well, I mean, so that was two questions you snuck in there.
Okay, fair enough.
Overall
answer the first one, then the second one.
My overall impressions of the series, and I'll preface this with saying that I'm kind of holding this and The Mandalorian up to the same, like, because I consider them contemporaries.
Okay.
Like, they're two major streaming services' attempts to create a new, like, Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And so what I'll say is I think The Witcher was good, but not great.
Okay.
I think it was an attempt to create a non-serialized TV show out of what is very clearly is a serialized story told in a pretend non-serialized fashion, whereas The Mandalorian is clearly meant to be serialized, but it pretends to be non-serialized. And so what I mean by that, to be clear, is The Witcher is one story.
Okay.
But every episode pretends to be its own episode.
Okay.
Whereas,
because in the sense that they're kind of encapsulated.
It was clearly the story that's being told is so I just they tried to be Westworld. They tried to do like a non-linear, like weird, like, you know, modern television. Everything's kind of wrapped together in this like overarching thing.
Uh-huh.
But they wanted to be like casual at the same time. Like they wanted to be like a lighthearted. I don't know. Like The Witcher TV series reached for a lot, and I don't feel like it should have. I feel like it should have like stayed in its wheelhouse of like being a straightforward adventure story.
Okay, so
which I contrast with The Mandalorian, which I feel like had the potential to be greater, but decided to be a standard wheelhouse story.
Okay,
and so it's just like that's where I'm coming from, I guess is what I'm saying. But yes,
because I've heard a lot of people say, you know, oh, this is trying to be the next Game of Thrones. And I don't know, like I don't buy into that. I mean, I don't know if the showrunners have said anything to that effect. I hope they not. That's kind of like be kind of a foolishly bold thing to say for no reason.
Yeah, that would
but
be...
like, I watch the show and like I feel like so many people have said that, and I feel like it's like, where are they getting this from? It's like just because it's a fantasy show doesn't necessarily mean that because it has almost no relation to what made Game of Thrones a good show. Like, nothing about The Witcher to me is like, oh, well, this is similar to Game of Thrones in this way. So like, I hear that like tossed around a lot, and I'm like, I don't want to take it at face value because it kind of like, I'm like, why do people think this? It's like The Witcher is not. The Witcher is, to me, is more about like this weird amalgamation of a bunch of like fantasy things that are like kind of set in this like weird dark universe where it's like, you know, it's almost, you know, like I can't remember what it's like.
The Brothers Grimm.
Yeah, Brothers. Thank you. That's what. Okay, thank you. Brothers Grimm.
Don't
We're
worry.
two brothers.
We are two brothers. At the very least, we are two brothers. We can finish each other's sentences, thankfully.
Were the Brothers Grimm also two brothers?
Two brothers.
Is that how that worked?
Yeah.
It's also Two Brothers Fantasy Edition. So like, to me, like that's what The Witcher is like, it's like all of these like fantasy characters, but like it's like, what if they actually existed, what they would be like, and then this kind of like, you know interesting and like that's one layer of it, and then like on top of that like is a lot about like prejudices and like to some degree like racism and stuff like that, you know, especially like with regards to, you know, like, or like, you know, just like general like xenophobia, you know, with regards to like how sorceresses are treated, how like witchers are treated, and like, you know, stuff like that. Game of Thrones is really not about that at all. Like there's
almost none of that. Yeah,
there's almost none of that.
It's actually surprisingly a very unracist society now that I'm like thinking about the way the story is structured.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is about politics, and it's about like politics versus versus some like, you know, overarching like fantastical elements.
Yeah. So can I just like, I mean, I think you've made a very good point here, and I want to like come at it.
Go for it.
So you're right. The Witcher is not similar in content to Game of Thrones in any way.
Okay.
But it is similar in intent. Like, sure, the artists behind The Witcher and the artists behind Game of Thrones are doing two totally different things.
Okay.
But the executives behind The Witcher, the executives behind The Mandalorian, the executives behind the new Lord of the Rings Amazon show, the executives behind the new Wheel of Time Amazon show. Man, Amazon is really gonna get fucked by this, because those shows are gonna fail. And I'm saying that as a big Wheel of Time fan, by the way. They're all the same intent. They're all let us capitalize on people finally being okay with fantasy shows, whereas in the past they weren't okay with us doing fantasy shows ever. And so maybe we'll find the next big thing in The Witcher, because that's a really popular franchise. And so that's why people compare them. They're not because they're similar. I mean, some people might be wrong and compare them by content, but that's not why they exist. They exist because they're hoping that people will just latch onto them and be like,
gotcha.
And to be fair, you know, Toss a Coin to Your Witcher is like the top song or something, like it hit top 50, I think. Like, it hit the charts. That's how good it was.
Did it? Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, like, it hit the charts. Like, it hit the charts somewhere. I don't think it hit top 5 or anything, but it hit top 10, I think.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's funny, though. I mean, which is good, though. I mean, I want them to make more, so I want this to be as popular as humanly possible.
I would love a season 2. Because I feel like they put all this effort into Ciri's story, who, I'll be completely honest here, I did not realize that Ciri was literally Ciri until like halfway through, where it was like, oh, wait a second. Is that like his daughter Ciri?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, I actually do care about this character, and it's not just someone I literally couldn't give a shit about.
That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
I don't know why I didn't realize that, but
in my mind, you knew more about this story than I did, but it seems like this is 100% the opposite.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm not. I mean, I don't like The Witcher. Like, I don't like the games very much. I don't like. I mean, I like I said, I think the TV show's good. I don't think it's great. I think it's good. I definitely didn't mind watching it again to prepare for this, but I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not like, I never really got into the lore, which might be a mistake, because some of the stuff that was in this TV show was like, wow, that was really cool. Why wasn't that in the games at all? But I mean, we'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, no. Give me an example of that, because I'd like to talk about that and like kind of your impressions on that.
So I mean, the biggest one for me was just all of Yennefer, like the start of Yennefer's storyline to every step to the end.
Okay.
Of what we saw. I just like the way the Sorcerers Guild is structured is totally different than what I thought. Like, the way that magic exists in the world at all, like, I did not realize that it was like a conjunction of spheres situation. Like, that's new information to me.
Really?
Like,
oh my god.
The whole, like, oh, it turns out Nilfgaard is, like, using mages as, like, one-shot cannonball instead of, like, wizards was also new information to me. Like,
well, that, to my understanding,
that being in the book.
That's because I don't think that's in the book. I think that concept...
That is?
Yeah. Like, that whole concept of, like the mages, like, basically exhausting their entire ability and turning into dust is... I think that's a show-only thing, as far as I'm understanding.
Oh, really? Well, in that case, kudos to the show for coming up with a really cool idea.
Okay. Yeah, because, like...
that's interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking about, like... After I watched the show, I went back and I was like, is there like an equivalent exchange like element to magic?
Yeah.
Which there
for everyone, by the way, who hasn't seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is what you're referencing there.
Yeah.
Equivalent
I'm also
exchange. Yeah.
Isn't that an actual concept in alchemy as well, or is that just...
Yeah, sure. So for all of our alchemy scholars out there, they'll also know what that is. But
whoa,
you know,
that's a very large group. That's a very large group, as you know.
Okay, maybe I'm underestimating our lead to gold crowd here.
Yeah, it's very high.
Yeah. It just means whatever you put in is what you get out.
Yeah. But, like, so I think the answer to that question is sort of, because From what I've read, A, from the Reddit, and B, from like just various other sources, is that like the way that my understanding, the way that magic works in the book is that like they typically draw, it's almost like mana essentially, that they're drawing power from like the surrounding area and then their own like personal reserves and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then once those are exhausted, they're basically like they can't do any more magic and they're kind of like, out of gas. And I guess the way that they portray that in the show is like, like your chaos essentially, and then also like the kind of like, like the turning the flower, into like levitating the rock, and actually, I bring this up partially because like one of the big complaints that I saw is like in the last episode. I think it's the last episode, right? Where it's like, like the big battle. Long story short, like a lot of people were like, oh, the mages have to completely, like turn themselves into dust to shoot fire, but Yennefer could just like, blast the entire battlefield with fire for 20 minutes. And I'm like, did you not pay any attention to what was going on? Like, she literally sucked up all of the fire from Sodden Hill and then shot it back at them.
I have literally no complaints about any scene that includes Yennefer.
Really?
I think that actress is amazing, and that is by far my favorite part of the show. In fact, I actually have a note that I didn't even like the show at all. Like, I was like contemplating not watching it until episode 2 started and it became Yennefer.
Really? Okay.
Fucking Superman is Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill is amazing as Geralt. He does a fucking awesome job. Kudos to him. But my God, I don't want to watch an hour-long show with him being the main character.
Oh, that's interesting.
He is a Han Solo character. He is a supporting character. Like, he is so hard of a supporting character that I literally didn't want to watch the show until they introduced the actual main character of Yennefer.
That is so funny to me. Because, like, I was sold, almost immediately, just like, just him like, come on, Roach. I was just like, oh, great, perfect. It's like, I'm in,
I'm too hardened for that. That's, to me, that is a explicit reference. And explicit references are not good. They're references.
You didn't really like the games that much, whereas I love the games.
No, I did not like the games very much. Yeah.
So for me,
but it's also like it's experience of being a Star Wars fan. I say fan lightly in the Star Wars sense, but also being a Star Trek fan and an actual Star Trek fan, and being a fan of like lots of things over my life. I've seen companies take advantage of that more and more over the years, and so just like, come on, Roach is like, yeah, okay, Geralt loves Roach and treats him like a real person. Got it. Like, that is the most basic element of Geralt's character. Like,
meanwhile, I'm over here like, oh, please exploit me, reference me,
yeah,
reference me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You haven't been burned enough. That's what your problem is.
No, the problem is that I don't care. I'm like, burn me as many times as you want. I just want to hear him say lines from the game. I want him to play Gwent.
Just to give some structure, I guess, for me, if no one else, like episode 1, ultimately I felt, as someone who knows who Geralt's character is, I didn't really need to see any of episode 1. Like,
okay.
Episode 1 was essentially a waste of 45 minutes.
Because it's establishing a character that you are already very familiar with.
It's just like, yes, yeah, exactly. Like, it's nice to know that Henry Cavill is going to be the perfect Witcher. Like, that's great. Like, glad to know that. But that's the only thing I learn in 45 minutes, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, for me, like, just seeing that was just like that final fight scene was just like, it was just cake for me. I was like, this is fantastic. This is what I wanted to see. Like, like he goes and he like, stabs the guy and like pulls the sword like down and like lops his head off and like, just like deflecting the bolts and just like the whole way he fights in that like the final 2 fights between like him and all the guys and then him and Renfrey. I was like, this is what I wanted. I'm so excited. So that didn't do it for you. That was you weren't like, it wasn't worth it just for that.
Well, no, it's more that is the bare minimum.
Okay.
Like, to me, it's like, yeah, you did a cool fight scene with Geralt of Rivia. Like, of course you did. He's amazing. Like, he's an amazing physical god.
Yeah.
Like, if they like not pulling that off would have been me never watching episode 2.
Okay, well that's probably fair. Like that,
I guess
they had to do that well, otherwise they weren't doing Geralt of Rivia.
Exactly. Episode 1 was just like them jerking off to them, like being like, "Yeah, we did it, motherfuckers. We found the perfect Geralt of Rivia." Like, oh yeah, and it's like that's cool. Like maybe like you're okay with 45 minutes of them jacking themselves off, but like the first 5 minutes was enough of an indulgence for me. Okay. I would have liked the plot to get moving a little faster. Okay, I guess what I'm saying is, you know how we're all waiting in like bated breath for season 2?
Uh-huh.
I felt like they could have fit season 2 in season 1.
Okay, there was well, because I mean season. And
so that's my major complaint. It's just like not enough happened. I wanted more things to happen.
I think I can agree with you on that. There was a lot of establishment in season 1.
So much.
It was basically like tell everybody about the entire world of The Witcher.
It's not telling. It's shouting. It's yelling for like an hour 8 times.
Okay. That to me is fair. I feel like there were like they did a lot of that, and yet there's a bunch of stuff that they left out or changed from the books that, having gone back and like read how the books go, I'm like, oh, why did they do it that way? You know, and like fair enough, they're trying to tell their own story, whatever. But like, you know, I feel like they both simultaneously explained too much and then also left a lot of stuff like kind of weirdly like unexplained, you know, and like they weren't like, oh, this is how like, you know, any like I like a show that like doesn't like tell you everything, but like and you know, and shows you, but like to some degree I was like they didn't really there needed to be a little bit more explanation of some things.
Specifically, are you talking about Ciri and the forest where she meets Geralt for the first time and they didn't do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That is specifically.
I figured that's what you were talking about.
That was a big one.
I have heard that on Reddit, obviously, as I'm sure you have.
Yes.
And that does seem like a misstep.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't establish Geralt and Ciri's relationship as well as perhaps they should have, considering how like really, really, really important she is to the story. I feel like that was a little bit of a misstep.
How many times did they actually say her name? Ciri's name? Like once? Was it once?
No,
I think it might have been once.
I feel like it was maybe more than that, but still, it was like, it wasn't obvious enough to me that they had an important relationship. I mean, they said the word destiny more than they said the word Ciri, but
I don't know if we were. I mean, we might have gotten to this later, but I just want to mention that we're talking about that specifically. Mm-hmm. Could they have not thought of a better way to like rephrase "child of surprise"? Like, I'm sorry, maybe it's just me, but I found every time someone said the word surprise in episode 4 or 5 or whatever it was, I just couldn't help but be completely taken out of it.
Okay.
Just like, you deny your child of surprise. Just like, I'm sorry, is this a fucking Kinder Egg? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, I'll excuse it because it's kind of it's true to the source material, but
that's my problem though. It's just like, no, it's clearly an anachronism. Like, child of destiny. Like, clearly you're talking about a child of destiny. Like, use the word destiny. Don't use the word surprise.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like,
it's a surprise.
It's because it relates to the law of surprise and like all.
Yeah, which is also hilariously silly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
It's the law of surprise. Oh, it's a surprise. Oh. Just like, no, it's the law of destiny. What you meant to say was destiny. You mean destiny, and you even say destiny. Like, you say destiny later. So you clearly realized how silly surprise was.
I will slightly disagree with you. I'll slightly disagree with you there, just because the whole concept of the law of surprise is that, like, it's a surprise to the person who then has to give up that thing. I know you hate the word.
Even you talking about it makes me laugh. That's so silly.
We have to move on from Steven's. Yeah. Steven's. I hate the word surprise. Surprise.
It's just I find the word surprise inherently funny, I guess.
Okay, Fair enough. I feel like that might be a you thing.
That ruined a whole episode for me, which was a very important episode.
Okay.
So, like, I don't know, maybe that affected my opinion of the series, but it's just like, I could not take that episode seriously.
Okay, fair enough. I guess I'm so used to hearing about, like, the law of surprise and stuff like that from the game. The law of surprise!
It's just like, how is that not hilarious?
I don't know. I mean, it's hilarious now that you're, like, shining a light on it. Now I'm not going to be able to think of, like, every time I hear the word surprise, I'm just going to hear, like, Stephen, like, off in the background, like, the law of surprise!
It's the law of surprise!
That's all I'm going to hear from
like,
now
I
on.
balloons shooting out or something. Like, it's just so funny to me.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, I'm going to take a breather here. Oh.
God damn it, Stephen. Okay, but so, also the way that they handled Renfrey, I feel like that was again a case of like they were trying to be kind of like, I guess, kind of coy about it, like in the sense of they weren't explaining exactly what like Renfrey was actually doing.
Why be coy? That's the other thing. Like,
one of those cases where be very explicit about what's going on. It's like, yes, Geralt, like, or explain it afterwards.
Like, it's a cool story, like, told linearly. Why do the Westworld shuffle it all up, like, not explain things on purpose? Like, it's okay. Like, be confident in your storytelling. Don't, like, use editing tricks. That's what I feel like a lot of this, like, a lot of my problems with this are just, like, they could have just not done the weird time shift, like, not telling us thing.
Well, I want to back up here because I think we're talking about two different things. Because I do want to talk about the time skipping a little bit. But the Renfrey thing, though, that's that's that whole first episode. Like, did you understand her, like, why he had to go back and, like, stop her?
No.
Okay, see, I didn't really understand that either, and I feel like
she was going to kill the sorcerer, right?
No, it was more than that. So, like, in the books, it's way more explicit, apparently. But, like, and I feel like there was some degree of that, but it wasn't really. It should have been more spelled out.
Was she literally a child of, like, evil destiny?
That's less important. She was going to kill everyone in the town until Stregobor came down out of the tower.
Oh, that is not at all what I got out of it.
That's why, I feel like it's sort of a little bit alluded to for the fact that she was going to kill that girl. But like, and like, her like dudes were kind of, but like, this is one of those things where it's like they spell so much out in the show, like like to your point, they hammer out like this is Witcher stuff, but then there's so many important things that they just completely gloss over, and it's like, dude, you got to explain that. It's like in some way, because like
I did not get that.
Like Geralt has his vision, and like I guess that's supposed to tell you that like, okay, Geralt knows she's going to do something terrible, but like, I don't think that it was enough, and like I think
it wasn't. I can say that for sure that it wasn't enough, because I did not ever like. This is the first I'm hearing about this, so you're right. It's not enough, because I didn't get it, and I've watched the series. I watched the first episode the whole way through twice.
Yeah,
like I did not get that. Like I was still like, oh, maybe Renfrey was like an okay person. Yeah, like, I didn't get that.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like, it's not even like necessarily like that. Like she, like she was doing a bad thing, right? But like it's like, was she actually, like, was the curse of the Black Sun actually like the thing that's doing this to her, or is it like her whole life up to this point is just making her this kind of like crazed revenge insane person, But it's like,
no, I'll say to that point at least that I feel like the series makes pretty clear that those are the same thing. Like the events that happen because of the prophecy, and the prophecy being right implicitly, like those are the same thing. Like I think the series makes that pretty clear, just from the way the whole Ciri arc comes. Just like destiny will have its due, whether it's like willingly or unwillingly. Like the events will be curved. I mean, to make a Wheel of Time reference, Ciri and Geralt are both Tavern, and the weave of the world is shifted around them and weaved around them in order to make events happen, and not like everyone else is literally like a non-player character essentially.
Cool. I understood some of those words.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyone who's read Wheel of Time will appreciate it.
I know. I'm sure all of the Wheel of Time people will be
all -3 people that have read the Wheel of Time and have listened to this podcast will get that.
Excellent. But yes, so like the time skipping thing, I think I am a little bit more forgiving of that than you are. I didn't mind it. I think it helped that you told me it was going to happen in advance of it happening, because I think that I enjoyed the series more knowing that they were going to skip around a lot.
And you also haven't watched it twice, right?
I have not watched it twice.
I've watched it twice.
Okay.
There was no need for time skipping. It's confusing, but at the same time, it's also barely present.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you could have shifted like one episode around almost. Like, just have episode, I think it's 6. The one where the queen like comes back victorious and the event happens.
Yeah.
Have that happen before episode 2 or 3.
Okay.
Where the queen dies. Like, literally that's it. Like, done. Like,
yeah.
You're good. Like, now the series is in chronological order again.
I mean, I guess, like, this is maybe partially the show's own fault, because, like, if you had the episodes in order, like, if you had, like, everything chronologically, you'd basically have, like, a full episode of Ciri running through various woods, which maybe makes it seem like that wasn't so important. Like, maybe they could have cut that down a little bit.
But you made the point earlier of, like, they removed the Geralt-Ciri meeting in the forest part.
Yeah.
Right? So, include that.
Yep.
You're done.
Yeah, have a whole episode of Geralt running into Ciri in various points, you know, or just have her pop up at random. Like,
no,
I
I love that idea. I love that first idea. Have a like semi-comedy episode of just like, wow, Geralt is really stupid. Like, he's run into Ciri like 12 times already, and he still hasn't gotten the idea.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I think that would have been a perfect fucking mid... Oh my god. Now I'm really angry. Because that would have been a perfect mid-episode. Just like a nice, lighthearted, like, oh yeah, here you go, we're explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that was the biggest misstep in the show for me, was because I know how important their relationship was. So, like, for me, it was like, okay, like, I get why, like, but it just seemed like it was a little bit too, like, why does he all of a sudden care? And I think that you're supposed to, I think the intention of the showrunners was that you're, like, he keeps hearing about this girl and that he's his destiny, and, like, he's becoming more, like, kind of like tuned into the fact that maybe this really is a real thing, but like,
it was too subtle.
It was this again, it just gets back to like, these explain more things, you know, like I'm almost never the kind of person that's like, you should explain more. It's like, I'm such a show don't tell, and yet this show, it was like it was trying too hard to be show don't tell.
I am a huge fan of telling.
Okay.
I love exposition. So yeah, I agree 100%. This show could have used an exposition episode.
Oh, so Yaskir was your favorite character. He's like, oh, well, I guess I'm the exposition now. He literally says that at some point in the show. It's hilarious.
I mean, you're laughing and joking, but yeah, yes, Yaskir was my favorite character.
Oh, I mean, he was great, actually.
He was. He was like 100%. He was my favorite character. There was never like I have a. So, I mean, if we're going to keep doing this podcast, I guess it's important to, like, tell people how I watch things.
Yeah.
I watch most things either as, like, a, like, addition to playing a video game, or if I'm genuinely watching it, my finger is on my arrow keys, ready to skip. Just like, oh, this looks like a romance portion of this show / movie. I'm going to hold down my right arrow key until I'm no longer seeing these two people in a close-up. Like, that's how I watch things. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make it clear that, like, I very rarely felt the need to fast forward in The Witcher.
Okay.
But I did it almost every time Ciri was on screen. Because I didn't understand initially that she was Ciri. And even after I understood that she was Ciri, and before the angry comments come, I'm certainly willing to accept that the reason I didn't understand she was Ciri is because I had fast forwarded a few times through scenes that maybe would have told me she was Ciri. But regardless, even after I had learned she was Ciri, I still really didn't give a shit, because I've played all the Witcher games and I understand what her ultimate destiny is, and so just like, I don't care.
Yeah, like,
she's essentially like a Deus Ex Machina MacGuffin. Like, I like, Ciri is an NPC. So
yeah.
I want there to be like, I want like the assassin arc of Witcher 2. Like, oh my god, I would love to see that made into a TV show.
That was really good.
Series story, I don't care. Yeah, go ahead.
I will say The Witcher 2 had probably one of the best stories out of all of the. I mean, it was really, really compelling. Like, I still remember a lot of the story. Whereas, like, Witcher 3, while being being the better game, in my opinion, was not even close, like, story-wise, to how compelling Witcher 2 was.
Yeah, Witcher 3 is, I mean, have I talked about my opinion on Witcher 3 on this show?
No.
Because it's against the grain. I think The Witcher 3 is like an okay action and adventure game, but it's usually described as an RPG.
Yeah.
And in that, I think it fails, like, in a very, like, complete way.
It's interesting that you say that, because, like, we've had this conversation briefly, and I kind of wanted to... I'm glad you brought it up, because I wanted to have this conversation.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have this conversation.
I don't think that we have the same definition.
Without a doubt we don't. My definition of RPG is extremely weird, specifically because of how much I don't like Witcher 3. I had to craft like a definition of RPG that like skillfully excludes The Witcher 3 just because I hate calling it an RPG.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. Like, you know, is something like Final Fantasy an RPG?
That's a JRPG. Those are totally different.
Okay. Because you see, like, for me, I feel like The Witcher 3 is almost the most RPG I've ever played, because, while it does give you choices, it kind of wants you to play a character, because it's, you know, a role-playing game, and it wants you to play the role of Geralt of Rivia.
See, okay, so this is exactly my problem.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying is Geralt of Rivia is not a role. Witcher is a role. Geralt of Rivia is a character. You are acting as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher 3. But acting is not role-playing. Geralt of Rivia is a spectrum of decisions.
Okay.
But unfortunately, Geralt of Rivia is a pretty narrow. You're either a charming womanizer or an asshole womanizer. But those are your two decisions. Yeah. It's not a choice between Paragon Witcher and Renegade Witcher, to use Mass Effect decisions.
Yeah.
But, like, as simplistic as that dichotomy is, like, good versus evil, it's a pretty general dichotomy, and so it gives you a lot of options.
Yeah.
Witcher 3 does not give you options. It gives you character choices.
Yeah.
And it gives you good character choices. Like, right? Like, I'm not saying Witcher 3 is a bad game. Okay. I'm saying it's a bad CRPG specifically, and to my definition, that makes it a bad RPG.
Okay.
But if you're willing to call Madden or, you know, the newest NBA or NFL game an RPG, then I'm willing to call it a good RPG. But at that point, I'd say that the term RPG is pointless, and you shouldn't use it.
That's an interesting point I don't think I've ever heard brought up, is like the difference between role and character. Because you're right. I mean, Geralt is a character.
He's a character.
Who plays
he's a character.
Yes, who has a role of a Witcher, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a person. And it's important to note that the most important thing is that it's not so bad that you're playing a character. The writers of The Witcher 3 know who Geralt's character is, and that's what the major problem is. Because the writers of The Witcher 3... know when you're making a choice what Geralt's character would do. And so they've crafted a game designed to pander to that character.
Okay.
But if you're trying to play a different character in the same role, you get fucked at every turn. And like that
sounds very in his character, though.
That's realistic. Yeah, it's realistic and it's cool.
To get fucked at every turn.
Oh my god. Yeah. But
I'm only here to amuse myself.
Yeah.
That's really all it comes down to.
But I'm tis. Yes, indeed. Quite, indeed. Yes, yes, yeah.
I'm so sorry. Sorry.
So it's just like, you know, like if the writers had been more forgiving, but they're not. Like they because they want to be realistic, they want to be unforgiving. Yeah. But that means there's a right choice, and that makes it a bad RPG game. Because in real life, there isn't a right choice. Real life does not have correct choices. It's all about how you make your choice and how you follow through with them. But The Witcher 3, like, it forces you to automatically follow through with your choices in a way that's, like, extremely frustrating for someone who's used to like Baldur's Gate and KOTOR and Divinity, like not Divinity Original Sin, like Divinity, like the old Larian game Divinity, like Thief, like Morrowind. Like, all of those games are games where, like, you have to follow through. And The Witcher 3 follows through for you in cutscenes. And I really, 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 really don't like having follow through in cutscenes. It's why I don't like Mass Effect 3 very much, for instance.
Well, can I say this, though? And let me see if you agree with this, at least. Would you say that The Witcher 3 at least does a good job of making your choices have actual, like, consequences in the game?
Oh, that's why that's why I never want to say Witcher 3 is a bad game.
Okay.
Because Witcher 3 is a good game.
Okay.
You
just don't like it being called an RPG.
It's just that whenever I hear about people praising The Witcher 3, I hear it praised in the sense that it's an amazing RPG, the best RPG ever made.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm an old fogey, maybe I'm just ignorant, and maybe the genre of RPG has moved on from my narrow definition of it being a CRPG, essentially. Mm-hmm. But fuck that. It's the kids who are wrong. An RPG is a fucking RPG. The Witcher 3 is an action-adventure game. It's a great action-adventure game. I'm replaying it right now because I liked watching The Witcher again that much, and I'm willing to give it another chance. I've washed the slate clean in my mind, and I'm playing it fresh. But my god, fuck calling it an RPG.
Okay. Would it be fair to say that it is an action-adventure game with branching storylines?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so here's my argument about why it's an action-adventure game. Have you ever played Far Cry 4?
Yeah.
Where you're on an island and you're that guy and you get to choose between being tribal or being not tribal?
Yes. Describe
to me exactly, not generally, exactly how that game is different from The Witcher 3. What's different about it, specifically? Is it the level up system? No, wait. That's the same. Trait-based. Is it the way you choose your path? No, that's pretty much the same. It's pretty much just an option of one or the other. Okay, so that's pretty much the same. You have essentially two different endings. I know The Witcher 3 has 3 different endings, but fuck you. It's 2. Is it the way combat works and the overworld works? No, that's pretty much the same. Is it the way the minimap works? No, that's the same. Is it the way the quest works? No, actually, that's pretty much the same. So either Far Cry 4 is an RPG, or The Witcher 3 is an action-adventure game.
Okay,
that's my choice. That's my choice.
The only thing I would say to that is that there is more story elements to The Witcher 3, like in terms of like dialogue and stuff like that. That's the main difference.
Yes. The Witcher 3 is obviously better.
I mean, here's a different comparison.
Sure.
In what way is Dishonored any different from The Witcher 3? And I think
Dishonored is an action adventure game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think that actually might even make the point even better, because Dishonored has got it's got like tons of like books and like lore and stuff.
Yeah, but that doesn't make an RPG an RPG.
Yeah, I think that if Dishonored is an action adventure game, it is similar enough to The Witcher that I think I could sign up to calling The Witcher an action adventure game in the same way that Dishonored
maybe to be less like
inflammatory
about it. It's really just it's the breadth of choices that I'm talking about.
Yes,
it's a new vague. It's like, can I join Caesar's Legion? Like, what if I could join the Dark Elves in The Witcher 3? Then I would be happy to call Witcher 3 an RPG.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
And that's even why I would call Morrowind an action-adventure game.
Okay, now we're
getting serious, yeah.
Yeah, now it's fighting words, because I think that, in my opinion, Morrowind does, like, for a Western RPG, does probably one of the best jobs of giving you essentially infinite options.
Yes, and I want so badly to agree with you, Jason. You have no idea. I really, really want to say that Morrowind is an RPG, because I want it to, because it's my favorite game. I mean, like, Morrowind
is Morrowind your favorite game? It might be mine. It's close to it.
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
It is. Like, KOTOR would be the only competition, but KOTOR is ultimately much more limited than Morrowind is.
I feel like that almost says a lot, because I think that if it isn't, and it's funny because, like, I'm not really a big turn-based RPG guy, but, like, I think it's possible that my favorite game is probably Earthbound.
Yeah, I mean, but Earthbound is like...
But Earthbound is almost
special.
like, I mean, like the gameplay of Earthbound, like
Earthbound is a treat.
Earthbound is a treat, and the gameplay is not great. The gameplay is not great.
It's just so charming.
It's oh god, but like,
it's
and that's
just
the thing.
So charming.
That's what I think. It's the game that made me like stories in games so much, because it's like, this is the way to do it perfectly.
Yeah, just the ideal game.
Oh man, are you ever gonna play? Are you ever gonna play Earthbound 2?
It's one of those. I've not played it for so long that it's become part of me.
Could it become not a part of you?
Maybe. I don't want to like. I don't want a second fiddle to Earthbound in my brain.
Oh man,
I guess is really where it comes down to. You know what I mean?
Can I say that it's like?
I mean, you said it.
Yeah, I've said it multiple times. I'm gonna sound like a pro, but like as a continuation of Earthbound's story, it's just so exactly what you, and it's enough not like Earthbound to not displace Earthbound in any way, but it's got enough of the same things. Like, it's got all of the same charm while having a different tone, I think. It's just, I don't know. It's like, it's such a good game. It's like, it's exactly like, I can't describe how exactly it's the exact game that I wanted Earthbound 2 to be, but it is. It's just, it's the game. It's like how do you follow up a game like Earthbound? That's how you do it. You make that game, and it's.
I feel like the more that you talk about how amazing it is, the less I'm likely to play it. That's the problem. It's like give me another couple years, and I might become desperate enough to play it. Okay. But if you keep hyping it up, I'm gonna be like, I don't want to be disappointed by this. Like, I don't want to like. Earthbound is so special to me. I don't want Earthbound to be less special by Earthbound 2 being a disappointment. Like, because that's how I feel about Dark Souls, for instance, right? Uh-huh. Like, I like Dark Souls 1 less because Miyazaki was so predictably boring with the, like, advancement of the Dark Souls genre. Like, as a fan of Armored Core, I'm aware of what Miyazaki does when he, like, makes sequels. Okay. He makes them faster.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Just faster.
Yes.
And that's what he did with Dark Souls. Like, he made Dark Souls 1, then he didn't make Dark Souls 2. Uh-huh. And Dark Souls 2 I like. But then he made Bloodborne, which was faster. And then he went back to Dark Souls and then made Dark Souls faster. And it's just like, it makes me think he doesn't understand. Wow, we have really gone off topic, by the way.
Oh, that's
But it makes me think he hasn't understood Dark Souls if he thinks that making Dark Souls faster makes it better. It makes it more profitable, makes it more popular maybe, but better? No. It makes it worse.
I will agree with that, because basically Dark Souls 3 was like, what if we mixed in Bloodborne?
I mean, we both played Armored Core. We know what happened when Miyazaki took over. He made Armored Core 4, which was a fucking Twitch mecha game.
Yep.
And then he made For Answer, which, to be fair, is my favorite Armored Core game.
Oh, it's
I'm not
amazing.
saying he's a bad game designer. Yeah. I'm just saying all he does is make games faster. That's all he's capable of as a designer.
Fair enough. And I do. Now that you shot a light on that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It is true. He basically just like, oh, Armored Core. Let's just see if we can make it faster. Can we make it faster? Let's make it faster. About how fast? It's like, well, could it be possible that you just don't actually like register anything that's happening and you just kind of like hold onto the controller for dear life?
Well, actually, not even just faster, but also add big bosses faster.
Yeah.
Just like, can we add big boss battles to Armored Core and make it faster? Yes? Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
I do agree with you that like Dark Souls 3 I don't like as much, because I feel like it doesn't do the thing that I liked about Dark Souls 1, which is be very, very methodical with how everything, like it's
Dark Souls 3 is not punishing. The way the rolls work in Dark Souls 3 means that you can press the roll button, realize you fucked up, and then roll again without costing you anything. That does not happen in Dark Souls 1. Or Demon Souls, for our people who are, snotty Dark Souls fans and are like, but what about Demon Souls, the original? Just like, I played Demon Souls, motherfucker. Like, I know. Like, don't worry. I got a pedigree. Like, I'm there for you. Like, Demon Souls was even slower.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of rolls. And, like, I don't like the way the bosses are designed in Dark Souls 3, in the sense of, like, their... Like
King Osiris, the dragon guy with the baby, that is the worst boss in Dark Souls.
Because
in my opinion,
all they did as far as is they basically took the enemies from Bloodborne and the bosses from Bloodborne and then made you play it as a Dark Souls character. And I was like, this doesn't really this doesn't match up for me. You know, like I don't want like frantic bosses because like here's the thing, like the play style that like I picked up in Dark Souls 1, you know, like I never used shields. I was always very much like the roll and hit type of thing. And so for me, like when I played Bloodborne, I was like, oh, this is my jam. I'm like, this is actually, it almost ruined Bloodborne a little bit for me because Bloodborne, you are so much more agile than you are in Dark Souls that like I actually found Bloodborne to be really easy.
Oh,
like
I've never heard that actually.
I mean, okay, I haven't done the Chalice dungeons, and I know that like the Chalice dungeons.
Have you done the DLC?
I've done all the DLC.
Okay, well, I've heard that the DLC boss, the orphan,
the Orphan of Kos.
I've heard that's the hardest.
Okay, so here's the thing: is that boss? I could see why it would be a hard boss if Bloodborne was the first Soulsborne game you played.
Yeah,
but I beat that entire game without summoning anybody once.
Wow.
And I
even the fucking like blood starved beast.
Yeah, I mean, I took a couple. Actually, blood starved beast. Which one? I'm trying to think.
The one with like the big flap of flesh, and you have to go down the stairs into the cathedral to fight.
Yeah,
it?
that one was the hardest one for me. I think that
Okay. So you had a pretty standard Bloodborne experience then, because I think that is generally considered.
Yeah.
Other than the Orphan, the hardest.
Well, see, but I beat the Orphan in 3 tries.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to like. This is not like you know.
I've seen people beat it 1 try. I mean, I'm not like.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like. There's not like a humble brag or anything. But like,
no,
you
it's
know,
not.
like,
It's not. 3rd try is not a humble brag. You're a scrub.
I beat it in 3 tries. Everybody hyped it up, and I was like, once I understood what the boss was, I was like, oh, this isn't really like basically like because there's the 2 DLC bosses between like 3 and Bloodborne, right? Like,
no,
I feel like.
So wait, before you go on a little bit, I just want to say, just like flat out, like none of the Souls games are hard.
I mean, yeah, if you
at any point,
if you know what to do properly, it's
not even what to do properly. It's literally a patience test.
It's a patience test. Yeah.
Wait. Attack. Wait. Like, if you can't do the 5 waits in between each attack, then you're gonna fail. But if you can wait for 5 minutes between each attack, you win each boss regardless.
Yeah, you just have to be patient and dodge at the right time.
Yeah, that's all it is. Like, so there's no difficulty.
I will say so like because people you know like the whatever I don't remember the dragon that we spent forever fighting.
The fucking
yeah, you know what I mean. But the dragon at the end of the DLC, the really hard.
The last dragon rider.
No. The actual dragon.
Yeah. The Storm King.
No, the actual dragon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Literally the actual dragon.
Yeah, that boss at the end of the DLC and the Orphan are both considered 2 of the hardest bosses in the Soulsborne series as far as everything that everybody said. I found the dragon way harder than the Orphan because the thing with Bloodborne is Bloodborne teaches you to go all the time. And that's how Bloodborne like plays. It's like get aggressive, get in their face, you know? And the Orphan punishes that really badly. Whereas if you just play the Orphan like you're playing a Souls game, where you back off, you let him do his craziness, and then you get in 1 or 2 quick hits, it's no big deal. It's not that hard. Whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, the dragon, and I did not fight him this way. I don't think because you, me, and Alex, you know, our cousin, played this.
No. I've fought the dragon in a number of different scenarios. I don't feel like the dragon is actually that hard, but continue.
Here's the thing that I found about the dragon is the dragon punishes my play style, and I couldn't really get out of it. The dragon, on the other hand, says, you know everything you learned in Souls about get out of the way of the attacks, you know,
Never.
and no, you have to put all that aside and get aggressive and get right up in his face and hit him in the face.
Yeah. So it's weird because my playstyle in Dark Souls is a very aggressive playstyle.
Yeah.
It's just I play aggressively with strength weapons, so it's a very slowly aggressive playstyle.
Yeah, and see, for me, I'm very much I got Sif trained into me too hard of like go for the back legs, you know.
Oh yeah.
That whole fight says You can't do that because here's the thing: that fight isn't even like you have so much time between each attack that like you almost never have like you. There's never a time when it's hard to like chug an Estus.
You need to
really quick.
constantly be sprinting toward the dragon.
Yeah, you need to have like a much more aggressive playstyle. And for me, I just couldn't like I eventually beat it, but like it took me a bazillion tries, and I did it by like. Attacking the leg once and then running away, and then attacking the leg once and then running away. And it was just like, but like basically all that, like, because that boss with the Estus, like as many Estuses as you have, that's basically as many chances as you have because he kills you pretty much in 2 hits.
Yeah, always, yeah.
So like, if he hits you once, you chug an Estus and you have another chance. And until you run into those, then you have one more chance after your second health bar, like second half of your health bar, and that's it. That's as many chances as you have to not fuck up. But you have so many chances, whereas there's other bosses in that game where I have no opportunity to even chug an Estus. It's like they're hitting me before that even happens. So he wasn't hard. He was just, like you said, an incredible patience test, but also a test of you need to be aggressive, and then once you're aggressive, you need to like know when to. You need to stay close to him, know when to hit him, and then also only hit him in the head.
Yeah, I kind of feel disappointed that Dark Souls is going to be the new like genre setter for our generation. I mean, I say that, but what I really mean is fucking Fortnite is the genre setter. And Dark Souls is a subnote. But
yes.
As a subnote, it did just set its own genre.
Yeah.
And it just, Dark Souls is good. I like Dark Souls a lot, but it's not like that crazy ultimately. Like,
yeah.
It does what it does.
Yeah. And I feel like, like trying to, like, just because you can copy that formula doesn't mean that you're going to capture the same, like, I mean, like, obviously this happens with, like, any genre, but you don't capture the same goodness just by simply copy and pasting the formula. Like,
yeah, I mean, literally look at Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I love Dark Souls 2. It's my favorite Dark Souls game. But
really?
But I can recognize that have we never had this discussion before?
I think we have, but every time you say it, it always just flabbergasts me because it's my least favorite Dark Souls.
So for the audience, I am a Dark Souls PvP player. I don't actually like the single player of Dark Souls very much. I've beaten all the games multiple times, of course, because that's what you have to do to make PvP characters. But I'm not really a big fan of like the like lose multiple times to a boss only to eventually succeed. Like I prefer to just run through the game and just fight like people online. So Dark Souls 2 is my favorite because Dark Souls 2 has the best PvP.
Yeah.
Because Dark Souls 1 is bad PvP. And Dark Souls 3 is how many times can you spam dodge roll in a row. So Dark Souls 2 is kind of the default for a PvP player. So that's why I like it the best. But that's the only reason. It's not for any like single player reason.
Fair enough. Yeah, I keep forgetting. Yeah, that's right. Because you are the PvP guy. Because like for me, like I feel like Dark Souls 3 is the most enjoyable to play through. Like because it's it's nice, it's responsive, everything
it's
works.
Fun.
But I like 1 the most. I like because nothing just really recaptures the magic of like playing through 1. It was. I mean,
if 1 was more active, I would probably play that more. It's just not as active as 2 or 3. 3 is really active still, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking that maybe I should pick up the remastered because I feel like that would just.
You've never gotten it?
No, I never got it.
Oh, the remastered is fun. And in the remastered, my favorite thing to do is sprint as quickly as possible to get the Dragon Covenant, and then like get all the dragon stuff. Because if you're a really low level, the Dragon Flame is still like powerful, and so you can literally just like hold the fucking square button and just like murder people in PvP without any effort. And it's just like it's the most fun twink build I've ever had. It's so unfair. And if they do attack you, you can roar and do your like tiny like hilarious claw attack, but at the low levels the claw attack is a fixed damage, and so it does like 600 damage, which is like the entire health bar of some people at that level, which is so fun. It's just like, oh, I love being an asshole in those games. It's
yes,
so
you do. You taught me all about it.
So fun.
You taught me all about it.
So fun.
That is still probably one of my favorite video gaming achievements, is doing like one of those like low level Dark Wraith. Like,
yes.
That was hilariously fun, of like beating the game on a super low level. It was frustrating as shit, especially Smoke and Orenstein. But like,
oh god,
Oh,
Then you
God.
get to rub it in everyone's faces.
Yeah, then you get to rub it in. I mean, yeah, I think that probably stands for me as probably one of my number one gaming achievements, if not my number one gaming achievement, is just doing that full stop.
Yeah. Just like the last challenge is the Four Kings. Like, how low of a level can you beat the Four Kings?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're running to get Havel's armor, it turns out it's pretty fucking low.
Yeah. So
anyway, this was a fun video game conversation, but do we want to return to the actual topic?
Yeah. Do we want to say a few more things? What else did you want to say about The Witcher?
Nilfgaard armor.
Didn't bother me.
Oh, it bothered me a lot.
Okay.
It was so unbelievably stupid looking. And they had a bunch of people in regular plate armor. So it makes even less sense to have this like weird like poo armor on all the Nilfgaard people. Like, why? Why that?
Nilfgaard armor didn't bother me. I thought that it was fine to have a weirdly like kind of like ornate armor in a sense that like it was just kind of like it was just strange and like.
What do you mean
looking.
weirdly ornate?
Because armor doesn't usually have like a bunch of like random like malarkey on it like that.
It wasn't ornate. It was poop. It was like it didn't look. The regular armor looked ornate to me. That armor looked like fucking like someone like plastered like poop on them. I'm sorry, I can't stop making the poop reference. It just looked like poop.
Would you say that it was a surprise?
No, it wasn't, because I fucking knew about it before the series started. And they never changed it. I thought, and surely that's just like placeholder CGI armor somehow. But no. The scene where it's like that main character of Nilfgaard who like makes the doppelganger, and like he's on his horse like looking for Ciri, and he has like the full Nilfgaard armor with the Nilfgaard helmet like crushing his face in, and it's just like didn't a human look at that scene and go like, okay, this is pretty silly looking. We should probably not use this armor anymore.
Yeah.
But like no one made that decision. And like the part that pisses, like I would understand if there was a lot of scenes with like full Nilfgaardian armies walking around and like they needed that because it's cheaper because they can 3D print it or whatever. Like I would have understood. But how many scenes are there with the Nilfgaard army? 2?
Yeah.
Like
maybe
and everyone else is wearing plate armor throughout the whole fucking movie. I mean TV series, I'm sorry, TV.
Yeah.
It felt like a movie because I binged it.
Yeah, that is the way.
So I don't understand why the choice was made. Like it's clearly not an aesthetic choice. Unless I'm like a blind person. Yeah. So, and it's not a cost choice because there wasn't enough scenes to make sense for it to be a cost choice. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about how cost works. That's possible, but it didn't seem to me like that was what it was.
I guess I'll say I won't say that I liked it. I won't say that it bothered me. It was.
But like everything else was great, right?
Yeah, everything else was great. It was a weird choice.
Could you at least agree that it was the worst armor?
Oh yeah, no, it was the worst armor. Like I said, I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it. I was just kind of like, okay, it's just weird armor. So fine, whatever. I'm willing to accept it and move on.
Yeah,
But I really didn't like, and I'm not gonna really like go into any of this because there are some like. I don't think we've really gotten into any like book spoilers, and I won't get into really any book spoilers.
Yeah, I don't know the book very well, so. I couldn't.
But the only thing that I'll say is that character you're referencing, the guy chasing Ciri, is like his treatment was really weird in the show because when I was watching the show, I was like, oh, this guy's supposed to be like unrelentingly evil, whereas like in the
interesting. I didn't get that actually.
When you were watching the show, he seemed like crazy evil, right?
No, not all the time.
Really? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I thought there was some doubt that he was actually like genuinely looking for Ciri to protect her.
Oh, okay.
See, at least up until the doppelganger scenes, obviously.
Well, because that's the thing.
That changes the whole aspect.
That's the problem that I had with it. Because I think in the book, apparently, like in that point in the story, he's much more nuanced. Like,
well, I mean, so I play a lot of like medieval strategy games, like Crusader Kings and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with the concept of like taking over a piece of territory, killing the liege lord, putting their heir in charge of the new territory. And so it didn't seem to me to be a crazy idea that Nilfgaard would be like genuinely looking for Ciri to make her the actual queen.
Yeah.
Like, and then control her, of course, but that's fine.
I mean, it was more that doppelganger scene. It was more that doppelganger scene with
when the doppelganger shows up, you're like, oh no, he's evil. Okay, cool. Got it.
So apparently he's much and like there's no doppelganger in the books, and
oh really?
Yeah, like that whole thing doesn't happen. It happens totally differently, and he's a much more like nuanced character. So like. It'll be interesting to see how they handle him going forward, and if they're gonna bring any more of that.
The nuance did come across for me.
Okay, so it didn't come across for me, and it was weird reading later. It's like up in that point in the story, he's more nuanced. So
yeah, it made sense to me that like you want to take control of a kingdom.
Yeah,
you find the legitimate heir and like vassalize them essentially. Like that makes sense to me. But that's because again, I'm a big history nerd.
The other thing that I didn't really care for was the way that they portrayed Nilfgaard as like being like this kind of, like weirdly like radicalized like religious like fanatics, because that's
okay, interesting.
Because that's again not something from the books, and also like even from the games that's not really, because I mean like in the games it's like they're just like I don't know, like I
100% get what you're saying. They are not any like they seem like a totally reasonable force.
Yeah, like they're almost like the Roman army.
Yeah.
Like versus like the tribes of like the British Isles and like the Germanic tribes.
Yeah,
like that's always how I've envisioned it, and so like it's a very weird way to portray them, and I'm wondering how much they're even gonna stick with that next season, because it's weird. I don't know. I just like I didn't really like it. I didn't really understand why it was necessary, because it's like I didn't understand why it was necessary and what they're gonna even do with it.
Okay, so that's interesting actually, because having the Nilfgaard be like the unambiguously evil faction worked in the TV show, I feel.
Yeah.
And so if that's not the way it is in the books, I am curious to see if they continue with that particular, because I feel like they kind of need to at this point.
Yeah, almost. I mean, they've kind of boxed themselves into a corner, I think.
Exactly.
But, I mean, we'll see how they get out of it, if they even do. Yeah, I wasn't huge on that. Like I always saw
that. That makes me kind of think even less of the show than I did already, honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, those are my main like niggles with the show. Like I liked it overall, but like I had some issues with it, and those were among them. I also didn't super care for the actress that they picked for Triss. Not that like as an actress. It's just I don't know. It wasn't even so much her appearance. Like I mean, like it definitely didn't gel with me versus like her character like in the games. But I know that her character in the games is not in any way, shape. Yeah, it's not in any way, shape, or form related to her character in the books. So that's fine. But like even like what I understand of her character in the books is like I didn't like like she's supposed to be like very like young and naive and like completely and utterly in love with Geralt, and he just doesn't really.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and they didn't really seem like they were going that route, and so I just like I don't know. I like her character just seemed like weird, and like just I didn't really like it. It was such a departure from.
She was a minor character for sure,
and she is a minor character too. Like I mean, at least in the short story, she's a super minor character, so it makes sense she was a minor character. It's just like, but she's eventually going to become like not like a super important character, but like definitely less of like from what I understand, definitely less of a minor character, and it's like they've kind of put themselves in a bad spot with like the way that they have portrayed this character. I think
they can always replace the actress. That's
I know. I hate when they do that.
Did it often enough.
I hate when they do that in shows, though.
Did it really bother you though with the Mountain?
With the Mountain, it wasn't so bad.
So I think that's the same level of character.
But that's because the Mountain wears fucking full plate armor most of the time. So
you saw his face multiple times. Don't give me that.
And it confused me every single time. But like I was more willing to accept it. Whereas like when they replaced like Dario or whatever was his name.
Yeah.
That I completely.
That was weird. Yeah, I guess.
I was like, I'm like, who the hell is this new guy? And like they're treating him like I should know who this is. And like like if you're gonna do that, you have to lampshade it. You have to say something like, "Oh, you got a haircut," something stupid like that.
Yes,
so I can be like, "Oh, wait a second, I'm supposed to know who this character is." Like you can't just walk past it like, "Oh, this is not a big deal. We just totally replace this character." It's like, fuck you. You can't do that.
Game of Thrones was popular enough for them to do that, but yes, you should lampshade it. I agree. I think that's a smart idea.
Yeah, but like yeah, I mean, I guess overall though, like other than and so, like also like there was that like really cheesy scene when they were fighting all of the when they were fighting all of the people like up where the dragon was.
Yeah.
Where Yennefer and Geralt are fighting, and like at one point they shake like wheels around and like they like kiss while he's like shooting the Ard out. It was like I was like a little bit like okay, all right.
Yeah, I forgot about that scene.
Somebody justified that for me.
See, that's exactly what I was talking about at the very beginning.
With
non-serialized versus serialized.
Uh-huh.
If they had just done it straightforward.
Yeah.
And, like, made it Adventure of the Week episodes. Which I think would have been, like, do the first half Adventure of the Week, do the last half series-focused. That would have been perfect. But they wanted to link everything, and so you get, like, weird character moments in the middle of, like, these, like, throwaway episodes, like the Dragon episode.
Yeah.
Where it's just, like, you could have just not had that episode. Like, you could have just not had it.
But it was one of the short stories, so...
Yeah, but I don't care... that it was one. I don't know what the short stories are. Like, just don't waste my time with an episode where I know what's going to happen because of course that guy's the dragon. I don't think we've talked about that, but like we all knew that was the dragon, right?
I
like at the very start, like he was wearing fucking dragon scale armor for God's sakes.
I didn't pick up on that, but you know what?
I picked up on it like. As soon as he he went, but what about the infamous gold dragon? And Garrett went, that's not real. And I went, okay, that guy's a gold dragon. I see.
I guess I didn't realize in that universe that dragons could like shapeshift, so that wasn't really...
I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. To me, dragons are gods.
Okay.
So
fair enough. I guess that's
yeah, it's just like a dragon is a god.
But... like that scene, like it was cheesy as hell. The way that it was justified to me was that like magic users can like amplify the user like the magic of other people like by being in contact with them.
Yeah, that is the most cop out fucking bullshit. Like,
so like fine, whatever. But like and like also in that episode especially, I found that like Yennefer's like usage of magic seemed like it was just kind of like bullshit because it was like she could just do whatever she wants.
Oh, on the topic of Yennefer, so I love Yennefer's character and everything, but did you find that she got worse when she lost the hump? Like her acting, like literally her acting got worse.
I do. Actually.
Like I feel like the hump might have helped the actress like get into the character more.
Yeah.
I just like it like she stopped being as like compelling when she like became pretty.
Yeah. I thought that her scenes were like of all of the characters were the most all over the place. Like I don't know the order that this stuff was. I don't know the order this stuff was filmed in. I do, from what I understand, the first episode was actually a lot of it was refilmed, which to me is why it almost feels like the most polished part. Because I think they changed some major elements, I believe. I also think they changed some of the costuming of Geralt, so they had to had to redo a lot of like the first episode.
Episode 1 is extremely polished. That's why I don't like it as much. It feels like one like smooth Geralt like cutscene.
That's why I liked it.
And it's just like I like Geralt, but like I don't want just Geralt. Like I want Dandelion. That's what I really want.
Well,
I just
the
want
thing
more
is,
Dandelion.
It does make me feel good about what the production of the show is going to be like, because if all of the episodes are as...
I'm sorry. Yasker to our viewers who have not played the game.
Yeah.
Yasker and Dandelion are the same character.
Yes. I knew that going in, that was going to be
I did not, by the way. And that confused the fuck out of me.
Well, and because Yaskir...
Yes. Is Buttercup.
And so they just
chose... Which is too feminine, yeah.
So they chose Dandelion instead. And it's like, so it makes sense. In fact, I almost wish they had stuck with Dandelion. I know that's like blasphemy, but like for me that makes more sense because it's like people reading it in Polish would be reading like their equivalent of Buttercup in their head. For us, Jaskier is just a name instead of a flower. You should call him a flower, some type of flower in English. And Dandelion is the So
calling him Jaskier was a weird choice.
Yeah,
there's just a couple weird choices.
There's a couple weird. There's a lot. I feel like
ruins what could have been a really fun adventure series. This could have been a modern day Conan. And now it's like a Westworld thing, and it's like it didn't need to be a Westworld thing. Like it could have just been a modern Conan, and that would have been awesome. Not Conan.
Yeah. We already have
Conan the Barbarian. I'm sorry.
I would love to
badly.
see. I would love to see Conan the
Barbarian.
I know they've made that joke before, but I'd still,
I would still, definitely.
I'd watch it. But I mean, like the show was not perfect. I am willing to, like, it's a first season. I'm willing to forgive most of the flaws. I feel like they're just getting their sea legs under them. So, whatever. I'm good with it. I'm really excited for season 2. Based on how good episode 1 was, I'm expecting that to be the level of quality that season 1 has throughout. Or season 2 has throughout.
Speaking of excited for season 2, predictions?
Oh. Well, I mean, they're going to just keep following the books, so they're probably going to do, like... what I hope is that they spend most of Season 2 with Geralt and Ciri, and that, like, Yennefer's stories will be kind of more separate, and that she'll come in either midway or towards the end, I would hope.
So, when does Ciri end up at Kaer Morhen?
I think that should happen almost right away. That should happen.
Okay, you think that'll happen in season 2?
That should happen episode 1 of season 2.
That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want.
That's where they should be. Like,
that should have been season fucking 1.
I'm okay with it being season 2, but it should be like either right away or they're traveling to it in the first episode.
If I'm completely honest, I feel like Ciri was such a throwaway character in season 1.
Yeah.
That you could have introduced the Ciri, Yennefer, Geralt trifecta in episode 1, season 1, and then all of season 1 is a flashback explaining the trifecta.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been a better choice. Because that's like the feel good, like, starting point, essentially, of, like, Witcher to me, is like them all being together, even though that's game 3 from, the chronological perspective. That's like the heart. That's like what that's like the end goal almost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would have been a better, like, because it's just like, so there was so much wasted time in season 1 to me. That's all. It's just like, I feel like there was so much wasted time.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'm spoiled from, like, Twin Peaks and stuff. Twin Peaks was all wasted time, in a way.
Yes.
But just, like, I don't know. I don't like it when it's just, like, hammering character moments that you already are, like... You're like, I need one character moment, right? I need 5 minutes for a character to be determined. I don't need... fucking an entire season.
I guess I feel like maybe this show, it's because it's trying to hit that wider audience. It's like, okay, that's why they did all of the short stories, because those really establish, like, who all these characters are. And so it's like, okay, we're going to tell the whole backstory in season 1. Because here's the thing. If they were going to do the whole backstory, I'm glad they got it out of the way. And they just did it. They ripped the Band-Aid off, and they said...
That's a good point.
We're doing the whole backstory in season 1, and then season 2 and on is the story.
There is... I will also say that all of what we've been saying is obviously personal opinions. And the show has obviously been very, very successful.
Yes.
I mean, if just, like, how popular Toss a Coin to Your Witcher has been, the show has been very successful. So they clearly made good decisions.
Yes.
And the show is clearly, like, resonant with people.
Yes.
Regardless of, whatever problems, whatever nitpicks we've been harping on this whole time.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, I really like the show. I'm really excited for season 2. I think that most of the problems that I had with the show are now behind me. I can't anticipate that any of the problems that I had are going to be problems going forward, because, like, most of the stuff that, like, wasn't perfectly explained for me, it's like, okay, well, now it's just established. So even if it wasn't explained, it's like, now it's just part of what we're doing. So so it's just
the history of the show.
Exactly. So we're just moving on now. And I'm very hopeful. I hope that we get as many seasons of this as there need to be to tell the whole story, because God, I just love The Witcher, man. I'm just obsessed with it. I just love it so much. I just want as much Witcher as humanly possible, and I want as much Jaskier as humanly possible. I would love to toss a coin to my Witcher for many years to come.
That's why I'm excited. I want there to be more Scoia'tael stuff, because I want Jaskier, but even more than that, I want the dwarf.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, Zoltan?
There was not enough Zoltan in The Witcher 3. I loved The Witcher 1 the most, and so Zoltan was so prominent in The Witcher 1.
Yes.
I just loved that shit.
Yes.
I want some dwarf action.
Give me Zoltan.
Yeah, give me... Essentially, I want Witcher 2. I want them to do The Witcher 2.
Yeah. And, of course, they're not going to do that, but, like, give me the same tone and stuff, and we're good to go.
More elf stuff.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Oh, yeah,
I want more of the like the racism prejudice angle.
Yeah.
It was a little.
Yeah, I mean, because like the books are filled with that, so I think you're going to get plenty of that.
There was a little too much like personal character story for me.
Yep.
I don't really care about Siri that much.
Well, then, Steven, I got bad news for you.
I know.
That's the whole books.
That's my big problem with The Witcher 3 is I can't like sacrifice Ciri to the Dark Elves to like bring in a new age of like dark rule by the magical forces of darkness. That's what I really want to do in that game.
I know.
But it's not available to me. So I'm gonna play KOTOR again soon, I think, just so I can be evil.
You know what? All right, I'm gonna end it with this. It was funny because my wife sent me something that's exactly on that vein. Is if you have like, why would anybody be good when you have like infinite choices in a game? And it's like, because my power fantasy is saving everyone.
Yeah, more like killing everyone.
Yeah, that's the difference, I guess. Yeah. My power fantasy is saving everyone. Your power fantasy is just literally murder everyone.
Yeah, I'll absorb everyone's energy and be the last one left. That's what I'll take.
Oh man! All right.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent. I think that says everything that we need to say.
See you next time, guys.
See you next time.